Welcome. This is the January 2014 CXC CSEC General Paper 2 Exam Video Solution. Let's start with question 1A. In question 1A, we're given this expression and we're asked to find the exact value of this expression. Now what we have here are two bracketed terms that are being added, and we see we have fractions here. So what we want to recognize is that this is a mixed number, right? And we are subtracting this proper fraction in this bracket, and in this second bracket we are dividing a fraction by another fraction. And we have to remember that when we divide a fraction, we multiply by the reciprocal of that fraction. So what I'm going to do is simplify the expression by breaking this mixed number and also adjusting this division to the multiplication equivalent. And this is it. This 1 3/4 becomes 1 plus 3/4, and I'm still subtracting 1/8 here, plus, that's a plus from here, and then instead of dividing by 2/3, I am now multiplying by 3/2, because when you divide by a fraction, it is equivalent to multiplying by its reciprocal. Now inside this bracket, we see that we can simplify by dividing 3 out of this 3 here, and also dividing 3 out of 6. And let's show that. When we divide this 3 by 3, the result is 1. And when we divide this 6 by 3, the result is 2. So that is just simplifying this expression. And then inside this bracket, what we have is a case where we're adding fractions. Now when we're adding fractions, the main aim is to ensure that the denominator of each term is the same. And when that is the case, we can just add the numerator in the normal way. Now we'll see here that we can adjust these fractions to make the denominator be 8. This one, we can write it as 8 divided by 8, because 8 divided by 8 is still 1. And then this 3/4 can be adjusted by multiplying this 4 by 2, it will become 8, and then multiplying this also by 2. And then this 1/8 will remain as 1/8. Let's go ahead and show that. So this is it. The 1 here becomes 8 divided by 8. The 3/4 here becomes 6 divided by 8, because we have multiplied the denominator by 2 and also multiplied the numerator by 2. And then this 1/8 remains as 1/8, and now we see that all the denominators are the same. And this 5/4 resulted from this calculation. 5 multiplied by 1 is 5, and 2 multiplied by 2 is 4. So this is a simplified form for the expression in the bracket here. Now we can go ahead and simplify this addition by adding the terms in the numerator. Since all the terms now have the same denominator, we can add the terms in the numerator. So it's 8 plus 6, that's 14. 14 minus 1 is 13. And so the result of this addition is 13 divided by 8. And so we can show that result. So this term, this bracketed term becomes 13/8 plus, that's a plus from here, and we have 5/4. Now we have these two fractions to add, and again we want to make the denominators the same, so we can adjust this fraction by multiplying this denominator by 2. It will become 8 as this one is, but we also have to multiply the numerator by 2. So let's show that, and this is it. We are multiplying this fraction by 2/2, which essentially is the same as multiplying by 1. But we're going to multiply this 4 by 2 and then multiply this 5 by 2. And so this fraction will become 10 divided by 8. So let's show the result of that. And this is it. This 13/8 comes back here, and we are adding. This term now becomes 10 divided by 8. Now that the denominator is the same for both terms, we can go ahead and add the numerator in the normal way. And that is 13 plus 10 is 23. And so the result here is 23 divided by 8. And then this 23 divided by 8 is an improper fraction which can be simplified. And that is, when we divide 23 by 8, we get 2 times, because 2 8 is 16, and the remainder will be 7. And so the final result is 2 and 7/8. And so that is the answer for part 1A of this question 1. Let's move down to part B. Now part B is asking us to use a calculator or otherwise to calculate the value of this expression, this addition, and we have to give our answer correct to 2 decimal places. Now what we see here, we have the square root of this number plus 1.2 divided by the square of 1.31. And it is important to do the power terms first. So remember, you always do the addition or subtraction last. So I'm going to work out this root term and also work out this power term. The root term really is also a power term. You have to do these two terms first if we're going to show the steps, right? This could be typed into a calculator as is, right? But to show the steps, we work this term out separately and also work this term out separately. So let's show that calculation, and it will become this. The square root of this expression, which will be done with a calculator, becomes this, and we have corrected this to 5 decimal places. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. The final result must be given to 2 decimal places. So once we work with more than 2 decimal places initially, the final answer to 2 decimal places will be the correct answer. And then the 1.31 squared here becomes this, 1.7161. Again, this will be done with a calculator. And now we can proceed by doing this division. We have to do this division next before we do the addition. So let's show that result. And this is it. This comes back 1.70029. And now we are adding the result of this division. This division, again, you could do with a calculator. And this is the result. And if we proceed now to add these two terms as they are, then the result is this, 2.39955, and that's the 5 decimal places. We want the final answer correct to 2 decimal places. These are the first 2 decimal places, so we are really correcting this 9 with this 9, and when we correct this 9 with this 9, it becomes 10. So it is also the same as say we are correcting 39 with 9. And so this 39, the 2 decimal places here, will become 40 when it is corrected with this 9. And so the final answer is 2.40. 2.40 is the final answer correct to 2 decimal places. And so that's the answer for part B. Let's move down now to part C. Now in part 1C, we are told that a jeweler purchased 165 bracelets for $6,800, and these bracelets were bought in China. And when he returned to his country, the customs department in his country charged him a total duty of $1,360. That was a charge to import the bracelets into his country. So he paid $6,800 for 165 bracelets, and then he was charged a custom duty of $1,360 by his customs department. And the first part wants us to calculate the total cost of the purchase including duty, the total cost inclusive of the duty charge. And so the total cost of the purchase is the $6,800 here plus the customs duty of $1,360. So that's an easy calculation. We're just adding these two numbers, and the final result there is $8,160. So that's the total charge for purchasing the 165 bracelets, inclusive of the customs duty. Let's move down to part 2. Now in part 2, we are told that the bracelets were sold at $68.85 each. So each bracelet was sold by the jeweler for $68.85. That's the selling price for one bracelet, $68.85. And the first part here wants us to find the total profit made on the sale of the 165 bracelets. So the total profit will be the total sales or the total revenue minus the total cost for the 165 bracelets. And so the calculation will be this. The total profit will be the total revenue from sales minus the total cost for the 165 bracelets. And remember that because he sold each bracelet for $68.85, then the 165 bracelets, the total revenue from the 165 bracelets will be 165 multiplied by the $68.85. Now let's show that calculation. This is it. The total revenue is 165 multiplied by the unit price of $68.85. And then we can subtract the total cost. This was the total cost paid for the 165 bracelets. And so that's the calculation to find the total profit. And so the result there is $3,200.25. That's the total profit from the sales of the 165 bracelets. Part B now wants us to calculate the profit as a percentage of the cost price. Remember, the total cost for the 165 bracelets was this figure, $8,160 inclusive of the customs duty. Customs duty must be included in the total cost of the purchase of the 165 bracelet. And this here is the total profit made on the sale now of the 165 bracelet. And so we want to calculate the profit as a percentage of cost price. And so it is a profit divided by the cost, the total profit divided by the total cost. And as a percentage, we multiply that by 100. This is the calculation. It is the total profit divided by the total cost multiplied by 100. That gives the profit as a percentage of the cost price. And this is the final calculation. The profit, as we said, is $3,225. We're dividing that by the total cost, which is $8,160. To get that as a percentage, we multiply by 100. And so it is 39.22%. And the question asks us to give our answer to the nearest whole number. And so 39.22%, the nearest whole number is 39%. And so that's the answer for this part of this question. That's the end of question 1. And we'll do question 2 in another video. Okay, see you then.